Judith Sachs is the founder and director of Anyone Can Move, an adaptive movement program in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Although she started her professional life on the stage and then moved to the healthcare arena, she now combines these two passions. Her goal is to get everyone moving, whether in a chair or across the floor. Judith is a certified dance for PD teacher in Philadelphia and a 30-year practitioner of Qigong, push hands, a practice that maximizes balance and breath. In 2019, she piloted an innovative therapy program, Close Contact for Couples, that's what we're here to discuss today, with PD, under a grant from Penn Medicine. In 2020, she was awarded a Parkinson's Foundation Center of Excellence grant to improve partner communications with couples online, and in 2021 was awarded a second year in cooperation with both the Parkinson's Disease and Movement Disorder Center, Penn Medicine, and the Lou Rouveau Center for Brain Health, Cleveland Clinic in Las Vegas, Nevada. Judith, as always, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Eden and Kelly. I love PMD Alliance. I tune in a whole lot if I am free at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And thank you all for being here. And I'm going to share with you a lot of information about this program. And I want to talk for a minute just about couples, because I see most of you are alone in your Zoom room. This program was designed for people who were living with a partner. But what I've also found is that sometimes people would come with an adult child who was maybe somewhere in the vicinity. And now that we're on Zoom, of course, people are coming from all over the place. My next group has a couple coming from Peru. So no matter where you are or who you are currently living with or not living with, this may be for you. So let me tell you a little bit about the origin of this, and then I will turn on my slide presentation. As Eden told you, I'm a certified dance for PD teacher. I've been teaching in Philadelphia since 2012 when the program came here. But what I would notice over time, a lot of couples came to class, and I noticed that if they weren't dancing, as Parkinson's developed further, they were kind of not working together. And so I thought, what happens to the couple when they need to move? They need to get out of a chair or a bed or the shower when slippery and wet, or a car. What happens to the couple if they don't really have anybody facilitating that and showing them that they are able to help one another? And that's the point of the program. So I am going to share my screen, hopefully. Dear. Oh, I see what happened. Sorry.
Technology is frustrating when it doesn't work.
Well, my cursor went to the other screen, and now I don't know how to get it onto this screen so I can do share screen. Do you know anything about that? Wait a minute.
Move it to the other screen.
Like your PowerPoint.
I got it. Hold on. Share screen, fabulous. Share. And I don't want to share that. Apologies, folks. I'm still learning Zoom after 3.5 years. So let me go to, all right. I think this is right. Is this right?
Perfect. Yep.
Great. Okay, everybody. So we're talking today about communication, touch, and cueing. And cueing can be anything from, hey, give me your hand, or eye contact, or a different kind of touch. And we will be discussing that too. So I want to say that I am very thankful to have partnerships and funding from Penn Medicine, from Johns Hopkins Pacing for Parkinson's program. A new group is starting tomorrow from Johns Hopkins, and of course from the Parkinson's Foundation. So as I said, I started teaching and I just thought everybody was going to go home, they would hold hands, but it did not happen that way. So I don't have to read you the next screen. I think there are things you already know, but here is and it's not even a complete list. The symptoms of Parkinson's disease range from motor symptoms to non-motor symptoms to the medications you're taking or when you are taking them, to mood disorders and other physical changes that are going on. And again, I'm not here to make things feel difficult, but it's stuff you all know. And once these symptoms, which are not necessarily all happening at the same time, they're not happening every day, they're so unpredictable. And that is really one of the worst things about having Parkinson's disease or living with somebody who has Parkinson's disease. Pain is something else that affects not just the person who is in pain, but the couple. Because for so many years, obviously, you've been doing things like walking down the street together or making dinner together or going out to visit friends or family. And all of the pain that is possible can definitely affect that. Another thing that I feel makes a very big difference is what happens to the coupled relationship and why. So first of all, as soon as you get this diagnosis, you're usually separated. There's so many wonderful resources for each, for the patient by him or herself, for the care partner, for him or herself. And every new experience that each of them has is typically medicalized. And I would see couples who look like this. You see, they're not looking at each other. They're kind of looking to somebody come and change this mechanism. The couple, if they've been living together for a very long time, also may have stopped talking about what's going on because, of course, you know, you can read the other person's mind if you've been married to them for 40 years. And also, we may want to cover up what's happening for the rest of the family, even for our adult children. And the other thing is that each of you is changing roles. One of the things that I found in a variety of the groups that I've been working with is perhaps the man has Parkinson's, the woman is designated as the care partner, and maybe sometime in the middle of that year, she is diagnosed with breast cancer, or she has a heart attack. This actually happened in one of my groups. Then suddenly he becomes the care partner. But are they really learning to care for one another? It's a kind of emergent situation. And what I'm trying to do with this program is make things happen in a reasonable period of time, hopefully, when you don't actually need it. So the first thing is, how do we communicate with somebody else? As I said to you, I noticed that people were yanking each other and pulling each other around. It was as though they were playing a tug of war with Parkinson's as the rope. And what I wanted to do was really change that so that they were tugging on the same side of the rope. I also saw that they weren't really listening to one another. They weren't paying attention to each other. And that goes for both people. So in my workshops, to the best of everybody's ability, first one person helps the other, and then they flip. And the person who was helped becomes the helper. And maybe they can't do absolutely everything that I'm suggesting, but we improvise. That's one of the great things about the program. It's basically adapted to what is needed for each couple. The partner, whether that person has a medical condition or does not, our partner, and the reason probably most of us have stayed with one person, or maybe the second person, the partner is a safety net and a stress regulator. So what we're always trying to do is think about what that person said to you, what was behind what was said to you, really, really listening. And if you don't understand it, stop, ask questions, go back to the beginning, listen again. So what is significant about this program is touching. There's just nothing, there's nothing in the world that's as good as a partner's hands, right? There's warmth, there's familiarity. I think that some people say, I would always know, if I were in a dark room and a few people came up to me just to hold my hand, I would always know it was my partner's hand. There's a kind of attachment that comes, and I can also say this about adult children. I absolutely think I know the touch of my daughter as opposed to somebody else. And that's why it's so important to recover this kind of touch. It's written in a lot of the literature, and I'm sure that many of you have experienced this, a feeling that Parkinson's has taken away the identity that you had before. You as a person, the care partner as the person with you, and the couple itself. So what we're trying to do here is go back to the basics. Holding hands is one of the most important things in this program. And not just holding hands, but really knowing the other person's hand and knowing your own hand. So what do? Yes, we do this. That feels good. But the other thing is, I want to go back to dancing for a minute. There, by the way, there's no dancing for you guys who can't stand the idea of dancing. There's no dancing and there's no music in this program. But I want to point out the two couples, right? The couple on the left is doing this sort of old-fashioned waltz where you can basically see where all their hands are and where their feet, if she didn't have a long skirt on, you'd see where her feet were. In the right side of your screen, the tango couple, you just have no idea what is what. It's just one body. And yes, it's a silhouette, but you can really only see 2 feet and 2 hands in this silhouette. And that's kind of the idea behind our program. It's not that you will melt into the other person. Obviously, what we're trying to do is recapture the identity of each person and the couple. But I just want you to see that there are different kinds of touch which lead to different kinds of trust. So in this picture, this is a picture from the 1970s when I was moving around a dance floor more than I do now. And it's something called contact improvisation. And in this particular type of work, people really had to trust each other. And if you see what's going on in this picture, first of all, these two people are totally reliant on one another. If either of them moved, if either of them changed the weight that they were giving, they would both fall on the floor, right? And one of the reasons is you see how they make a triangle. So what we try and do at Close Contact for Couples is establish what I call the base of support. That's, in this case, you can see the guy's legs all splayed out in a great big triangle, and they go up to their heads on top. Their shoulders and his torso and the other guy's back are in contact, making an absolutely perfect, balanced triangle. That's what we're kind of trying to do when we help a partner out of a chair. We help them roll out of a bed. We help them up from the floor in a controlled getting to the floor and getting back up again. So this is going to be how we reunite partners. I thought it would be important to tell you what the mission is of my program. The body was made to move, and movement gives each of us control, comfort, and joy, regardless of limitations. Anyone can move, and Close Contact for Couples is only one of my programs, offers partnership in the lifelong goal of supporting one another. So in 2019, when I got my first grant, we were in a room at Penn Medicine in New Jersey. And what you can see is we would play with a variety of things. In certain cases, people would stay in the chairs and do this kind of pushing hands with one another. They would give each other cues like, I'm going to push you forward with my right hand and you give way. And then they would stop giving each other verbal cues and simply see how it felt to push hands away, to bring hands together. The couple on the left side of the screen, again, you see there's a big height difference. And this is, again, something that we work on. If your partner is much smaller and lighter than you, how do you help them off the floor? Well, you can. It's all about physics. So part of this program is learning just a little bit of body mechanics and physics. What they're doing here is walking on a squishy surface, and then they would walk onto the floor, and then one of them would be on a squishy surface and one on the floor. And I'm sure you've done this with your partner. Maybe you go outside your house and there's grass on one side and there's pavement on the other, and you feel really unbalanced. You feel like you might fall. So we work on that in a really controlled way so that it doesn't happen. Again, sometimes you can't look at your partner. So we practice this business of how does one move forward and take the other with them. It's called entrainment, and I will show you a little bit more about that later. And we also play with one another. This was really one of the things that I discovered was couples have kind of stopped laughing because things are pretty serious. And playing with a balloon, so here what they had to do is keep the balloon in between their bodies and not touch with your hands, and decide, oh, I'm going to turn around, so you're going to keep that balloon on my shoulder, and then as I turn, it's going to be on my back, and then as I turn, oh, I may drop it a little, it'll be between our hips. So they had to really negotiate what was happening in between them. Now, I'm going to show you a little bit about what happens, again, when people don't think that they can get out of a chair the way that I'm telling them to get out of a chair. So just watch the couple on the lower left. You will switch. I don't know if Herb and Ina, if you want to switch. Because we may have to just figure something else out for you guys, which is absolutely fine.
We watched the video. We were wondering how we could do that.
All right. So actually what I would like to know from you is, do you ever give him support when he's getting up out of the rollator?
Yes.
Okay, then I want to see that. But first let me just deal with everyone else for a second, okay? And then I'll get back to you. So the seated person, I'm now the seated person. I'm going to perch on the front of the chair, and my legs are just enough apart so that my partner's leg can come in here. And I'm going to reach up, and with my open palms, which we practiced earlier, my open palms, I'm going to hug him when he comes toward me. Now I'm the other person. Here's my partner in the chair. I want to feel like I'm going to move a refrigerator, right? I need my back leg supporting me that way. And I'm going to come under the armpits of my partner and put my open hands on his or her back. And then the person in the chair, and this is the important part, the person in the chair gets to say 1 and 2, and I'm ready to get up 3, or ready, set, not ready yet, go. So we're doing rock, and 2, and counting, and 3. If you're not ready to get up on 3, person in the chair, you say, not yet, okay? So get in the position.
Your hands are going to go towards mine.
Yes, John, go underneath, yep. And then you really want to, so Mindy, so that your face isn't all smushed into his shoulder, turn your
Right.
head a little to the side. Yeah, Fern, that looks good.
You tell me.
Let him tell you. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Yes, and now what I could not see, nice, wow, Herb and Ina. You didn't think you could do that.
No, we didn't.
Wow. What do you think? Was he counting? I couldn't hear.
Yeah, he was. I usually help him by holding him from behind, grabbing one
Well, we're gonna do that next.
like this and pull him up like that.
Right. So let me say a word about this particular move, okay? So the
Your legs still have strength, you can do it.
difficulty with the smaller person being the helper in this way is if my partner rocks so far that I have to take his weight, right? And that's why this leg is like a kickstand. So that first I want to be toward him as we rock and he starts coming up. I want to go away and then come back. And then once you're up, the two of you just stay up together because you've been in motion and I want the stability to come back to the center.
He felt much lighter when I picked him up this way than because when I pick him up from one arm, I hurt my back all the time.
That's what this class is all about.
I'm not really
And I
listening.
have to say, some people, and again, it sort of depends on the size of the partners. Some people like the other way better because they feel too smushed in. But it looks like it works beautifully for you. So do you guys, and I don't know how you feel about this, Fern and Steve, want to switch roles?
I'd like to practice this. first.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's practice some more. How about Mindy and John? Do you want to
Switch.
you switch? And Judd and Nancy, can you switch?
We
You
already
did.
but we'll do it again.
I'm in my own way.
So that's the weird part, because now you see how I felt.
Wonderful. Wow.
Where did
It doesn't even hurt. He feels so light.
Can you write that down on a big piece of paper and mail it to the Parkinson? You will switch. I don't know if sorry. Let me keep going. One sec. Sorry. So of course, the wonderful thing was that they discovered they could do something they didn't think they could do. And not only that, but he got her out of her chair after this, which was so rewarding for both of them. Again, they did not think that they could do this at all. You may have seen also the couple in the upper right. He was much, much bigger than her. And they, again, had no difficulty doing this. So it's all about physics. It really is about physics, and also taking your time, talking to your partner and deciding when it's time to move. So I'm hoping we'll have a little bit of time so I can actually show you. Unfortunately, my partner isn't here today, but we'll see. So just going on, I want to also talk to you about cueing, because we work on freezing of gait. And it's also really important for you to be able to know where you're moving with your partner and how to direct them. So let's see what goes on here. This is one of my interns from Drexel Physical Medicine, Natalia.
Now we're going to move on to the box on the floor. So you don't need a box of your own in your house. I just want you to have the feeling that the wide part is at the back, the narrow part is at the front. So the pattern that we're going to do, first I'm going to do it in the row and then 5th time. start. And I'm really going to know that I'm so that this leg is light and it's able to move diagonally. And then I can start. Lean on this leg again. Stand over here. Tap. And then I reach behind myself. And side. Side. Now the idea is we're going to do this together. And I'm going to guide her by using the side of my body against her body. So she really feels if I'm switching weight, I'm going to make her feel this is the heavy leg. And just because we don't have a lot of space here, she's going to be a tiny bit in front of me. So I'm going to take all my weight back. I'm going to go to the diagonal. So she tap, side, diagonal back, diagonal front, side, diagonal back. Wonderful. So now we rely on each other. Now we're going to mirror each other. So by doing that, what I need is I'm starting with, and she is going to start as though she were looking in a mirror. So if I'm same thing. So shifting weight. So I know this foot is ready to go. And 5, 6, 7, 8 diagonal. Diagonal side, step side, back, step side. That's okay. Front and side. So we're together. Back and side. Do it again. Front, side, back. One more front. Inside, down, and side. Now we make it harder. So we're going to start on the same foot. If I started on right foot, she's starting on left. But look what happens to our shape as we make it. So I'm going this way with my right foot, and she's going away from me with her right foot. Together. So. Down. And so. Doing the same pattern, just with a different foot. So you can concentrate on one movement and fingers at exactly the same time, even though you're doing different things.
And what we do is take this into dual tasking so that we do the same thing and we either recite every other letter of the alphabet or we throw a ball to one another. A lot of these techniques that are probably maybe you've used with your physical therapist, but it's great to do it with a partner because one encourages the other. Wait a minute. Okay. Sorry, guys. I don't know why this keeps happening. I wanted to show you a little bit about being in the bedroom and the bathroom. Everybody's dressed for, you know,
Now,
where they're supposed to be.
Our tennis ball, right? And we're going to be walking, obviously not holding hands. And one person will throw, and as you continue walking, so try not to stop, no matter where the ball was. Just keep going. Okay, so here's how it looks. I think. Oh, no. So, one. Okay. Very narrow hallway. So if you're in a narrow hallway, you may actually have to kind of creep this way. I wanted us to be side by side, but we really don't have room to do that. So I'll be a little in front. walking, walking, walking.
That'll be fun.
So I was angled a little toward her. If you have more room, spread out a little bit. Yeah, Barry and Mary Neal, you're in the same kind of situation we are. So here's what you guys can do. You're gonna step wide, step together, step wide, step
We're
together.
going straight because we have room.
So it's like a crab walk, sideways. Side together,
Okay.
side together.
How's that?
Other people can face that.
I know.
And try and keep your steps the same.
Try me, Stephanie.
Hi.
Yes, catch up with me. Come on, dude. Big step. Big step.
Oh, wow.
Let's start here.
Terry and Danielle, that looks so easy.
Ready? Okay.
Nice, sit and Susan.
Almost.
So one of the interesting things about this program, initially I thought and asked for people not to have any cognitive problems. In fact, we did have 2 people with Lewy bodies in these programs who did incredibly well. And my feeling is it's all because of touch. It's feeling the touch of the partner, having that stimulation, and kind of not being treated like a patient all the time, being treated like a partner. Let's see if I can just do this. Aha, I did. So falling, I don't have to tell you anything about this. It's not only a very unpleasant thing to do, but once it becomes habitual with Parkinson's, it's so difficult for both people. And partners are very nervous, especially as you've seen, we have people of all different sizes, really nervous about the whole idea of what do I do if my partner's on the floor? So in close contact for couples with PD, we have a whole system of getting onto the floor and getting back up again. We do it alone, and then we do it with the partner's help. And the partner, again, I go back to physics. The partner is almost like a fulcrum to help the person to get off the floor. We want no one to be hurt in the process of any of this. And what people have told me afterward is that these techniques, which kind of come from dance, from physical therapy, from physics, from martial arts, all of these techniques are useful in getting people to think differently about their bodies, and especially about the way their bodies move in space relative to another body. So I just want to say that being on the floor is sometimes terrifying. And so for that reason, we start practicing on a wall to learn how to roll. As you see, we've kind of flipped the room, and these people are pretending they're lying down. But the partner is helping them by assisting either their hand underneath the shoulder, or in the case of the people lower down, they're talking to each other about what's going to happen next. Here are Terry and Danielle, whom you saw in that other video, just talking a little bit about their experience in this program.
Well, just a little bit of background too, because this year, you know, right before the program, there was some challenges for us because Terry had a fall and he broke his shoulder. So there was need for me to help with moving him, either from a sitting position to a standing position or in bed. So when I read through what you were going to do with couples and touching and kind of communicating, I thought it would be something that we could learn to do together, because we were definitely having some challenging moments in trying to do that. And it affected my physical well-being as well, because my back kept bothering me when I was trying to help him out of a seat. So I just thought for both of us, this could be a good thing. That's what I was really hoping to get out of it, is some just some ideas of how to move together.
And interestingly enough, we were in the process of taking PT physical therapy for me. And we were actually working on how to help somebody out, how to, just assist. So we're tied right in.
So there's a lot more to this program. It is a 6-week program. By the way, I don't know this couple down at the bottom, but I just love them so much. And I'm going to stop sharing. So in the 6-week program, we kind of cover the waterfront. We play with balls, we play with balloons. We use gait belts if they feel, if couples feel a little bit uncertain. And if you happen to have a gait belt, that's really wonderful because it gives you a handhold. And again, we try and switch that belt. So if you're helping your partner out of a shower, I know a lot of people now have really customized bathrooms, which are fabulous. But if you have a lip to get over the shower, it's wonderful to have something to hold on to other than the top of the shower. So we use a lot of props. I call them toys. And I think this is another additional thing that makes people feel, I've never done anything like this before. I'm going to give it a try, because what's the worst that can happen? And because they're learning something new together, I have found that most couples, when they fill out the evaluation at the end of the course, say, we're talking more about other things. We're problem solving about other things, not just our movement together. So that's the basic part of this. And I hope you have some questions for me.
One person did ask, of the box with the triangles, do you happen to know the dimensions?
Oh, it's going to be your width of your step. So that's another thing. If you are a tiny woman and you live with a great big man, or vice versa, you may have to take something in the middle. The idea was not to actually measure it, but to simply have something. It's a, what's it called? What's that shape called? It's big at the one end and it's narrower at the other. And it's got,
Trapezoid?
it's called a what?
Trapezoid?
Trapezoid. Thank you, Eden. Yeah, so it doesn't matter. It's simply a directional thing. And what we do in that, using that figure is we're practicing, if somebody has freezing of gait, we're practicing, what are we going to do together, holding on to one another to start movement in a different direction. So we're always trying not to go straight forward. We're trying to go sideways first, and then having something on the floor or wherever you are outside in your yard, something to go toward that's not straight in front of you. So that's partly what those lines are for, but also making that figure with your partner. And as you saw with my intern, switching sides and making it increasingly difficult is something, again, you're doing it together, you're directing each other, and you're moving on the same beat with one another. So it doesn't matter. It should be around the size of taking a big step.
Did put the contact information in the chat, which of course we always encourage everyone to save by having your chat open and clicking on the 3 dots to save your chat. So say my partner and I were like, yes, we want to do this. So we contact you. What happens then? What are the steps? No pun intended, because we're talking about dancing.
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah. What would we do if we put in that? So we reach out and we contact you. What happens next?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand. Okay, so as I've said, I have a new grant now with Johns Hopkins, which is very exciting to me. And by the way, I might as well brag, right? My poster on this work has been accepted for the World Parkinson Congress in Barcelona. I am so excited to be going there to present it to an international audience in July. And what we're doing with the Johns Hopkins group is we're starting tomorrow for our first 6 weeks of that grant. That will be over at the beginning of May. And so I am recruiting from all of you and other people you may know who work with your movement disorder specialist. So I'm recruiting for, I guess it will be when I get back from Barcelona. So you would go to www.anyonecanmove.com/contact-us and just leave me an email and I will get right back to you. How's that? Also, because we're on Zoom, as you saw with the several groups that I filmed before, I've been trying not to work with more than 7 couples at a time. I have an intern who's obviously watching what's going on, but I don't feel I want to keep everybody safe. And I am asking you to do things that are a little unusual. So I don't want to have a huge crowd. And that would just mean you'd be in a smaller group, which I think everybody gets a lot more attention. What is the dosage? I just saw that. The dosage, yes. So each, it's a 6-week program. It builds from learning how to touch, learning how to play ball in a rhythmic way with your partner, learning how to fool them, because everything is unexpected, right, in Parkinson's. And then we build up toward the getting out of the chair, walking on uneven surfaces, rolling in the bed, which we start on the wall, working in the bathroom, working on the experience of getting to the floor, playing on the floor and getting up, and then freezing of gait. And I just want to say, again, I have worked with couples where they feel if they are alone at home, they are not getting on the floor. And I absolutely respect this. I think that's very wise. I ask them to, I record every session because these are granted programs. And I ask them to possibly, I'll do a clip of what we're doing that they can show to their physical therapist or their movement disorder specialist when they're in the office with a professional. And they may ask them, can you show me while we're here in the office how we could manage this together?
One question about getting more help. Are you going to give us more help in getting our partner off the floor? We've learned about rolling, but how do we help them without hurting our backs? And thank you for the great information about getting them out of a chair.
So I'm going to switch just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to see my partner. See my partner here?
Yep.
So today this is my partner. I'm going to have to be both people. All right. So here's how we start in the chair, and each person does it by themselves. Can you still hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. So the whole business, as you saw my teaching how we get out, we use momentum all the time. Again, back to physics. If you have a metronome that's always going, you know that a body in motion stays in motion, right? So once we're seated in the chair, we practice the idea of going down to a level. I think my partner doesn't mind. I ask people, because we don't have gym mats in our homes, but I ask them to bring a few blankets, just so you get the idea of what it's like to slide off a chair to something soft and come back. And again, a partner can keep a gait belt on you at this point. 1 second. These are the ones that I really like to use. And I will obviously show you where I would get them. But the partner would be able to hold on to you while you were doing this to make it even safer. So at that point, right, we get down and then we get both. And then we come back, and again with the power of arms. So we work a lot on this movement of opening the hip joint and closing the hip joint while you're seated in a chair. Finally, we get down and we're usually going to be in a quadruped position. It also depends, I have 2 hip replacements, but some people with knee replacements, it doesn't really work to be on their knees. So we work around that, but not today. And once I'm here, I want to get back to the chair. I want to explain to the partner, you're going to put 1 foot down and again begin rocking. Now the partner, remember, is behind me. I'm so sorry, this partner is not helping. I'm just using, again, I'm using my hands, and the partner puts their leg underneath my thigh so that I get the impetus of just coming up and going down, coming up and going down. I'm faced the wrong way. I would have to do this on the other side, sorry. So that's kind of it. It is difficult for me to show this without another person, but the idea is to feel really comfortable. We do another one. Again, I said, if you don't feel good on your knees, which is a kind of spiraling in the chair. And one of the greatest tools in this program, if it's legal in your area to still have plastic bags in the supermarket, we put them in the car, we put them on the chair. They make us like a lazy Susan, right? So as I swivel around on my plastic bag, I can actually get myself to swivel all the way onto the floor and to swivel back. And I realize right now I'm making this look rather easy, and it will not be. But we do it in little chunks. And the idea of any kind of movement you do with your physical therapist or a tango that you're learning, you learn a tiny chunk. You repeat that. You repeat that. Then you switch roles. And then you repeat that. And then finally, you feel a little bit safer about doing it.
Someone asked, go on.
I was going to say, I see Heather has written things like using a walker or using a 4-pointed cane in terms of support. If you guys are using walking sticks to walk, you can keep them in the bedroom as well in terms of getting out of bed. There's all kinds of great props on Amazon. Has a whole adaptive area. And there's a wonderful site from Australia, believe it or not, called Hello Ed Life. Hello, the name Ed is one word, and life. And it's run by a woman in Australia whose father was in a very bad accident when she was about 12 years old, and spent the rest of his life finding adaptive tools to be able to, because he was massively paralyzed. And she has a special area for Parkinson's on that site. That's every kind of adaptive thing for your house, railings and pulleys and all kinds of great and not really expensive equipment.
Asked if you have programs where you train OT and PTs how to do this.
Well, that's part of my application for my next Parkinson Foundation grant. Thank you. Somebody just asked, how do you teach somebody to fall? Because this is something, again, that dancers learn from the very beginning. And once again, I always say, you start on your bed, right? I didn't bring any mats in here today, but you're going to pretend that this is my bed. And I'm sitting with my legs over the front of the bed. Or I'm sitting in the middle of the bed with my legs crossed, or however you're more comfortable. I want you to be very comfortable. Here's the mattress. I am going to start rocking. And I'm only going to do as much as feels good and then come back. And then I'm going to rock a little more and I'm going to get on my elbow. And I'm going to rock a little more and then finally be here, right? And then I'm going to use the strength of my arms to get up again. I'm going to practice this until it feels really natural. I'm going to do it on both sides because you never know which way you're going to fall. If that feels good, again, you're on your bed, you're on the mattress, you have a partner, you don't do this by yourself, you have a partner in the room. You begin to feel it's a very hot day and you are an ice cream cone. And you're melting, 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 melting until finally you just lie down. And again, you're going to do it in both directions. I have not on Zoom allowed anybody to do it from standing. What you would do, however, is you'd go back against, I don't have this set up, but you'd go back against a wall. And again, you would start this melting process. I don't want anybody here to do that today, but you certainly can do it from seated and maybe from kneeling on your mattress. Wow, I know what time it was.
Someone asked if you only take 7 couples every 6 weeks. Yes. Okay.
But, you know, the sky's the limit.
Okay. But also, I guess I would say that if people want to do this and they really need to commit.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. That's the other thing. And I know, you know, when we began in lockdown, and that's why I didn't have anybody in the room in one of those videos, there was absolutely no way that people had something else to do. But now they do. So especially because we're trying to time it so that we can have people on either side of the country and maybe even in another country here. So if you really want to do the program, you really should commit for the 6 weeks because it builds. 1 week builds on another. I give you homework if you want to do it. But it's kind of hard to skip a week, even though you can go to the videotape.
Once a week, twice a week.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's once a week. So it's 6 weeks. And you've got the, you know, the 1 hour time period. And what I'm hoping is that in the middle of the week, if you have a doctor's appointment or you have a physical therapy or occupational therapy or a social worker support group meeting, that you go practice it in front of them. I know that they're going to say, oh, I only have 5 minutes to see you. But you say, but this is important, the two of us to be collaborating, because one of the things I have discovered in the research is if the couple is united in terms of what they are doing together, they will be more compliant and adherent to medication schedules, nutrition, exercise, and everything. So the providers will benefit by this, not just the couples.
Any other questions? Heather had asked early, if you could talk about ecstatic free dancing too.
Ecstatic what?
Ecstatic free dancing too.
Static free.
Ecstatic free dancing. I was hoping you knew. Because Heather, if you want to come off mute and explain that.
It sounds wonderful. I don't know what it is.
Just want to say, Judith is amazing. We need more intimacy. We need more touch in our lives. Pleasure is our birthright. We are dealing with a serious disability and we need to find ways to have fun. And this is it, folks. Let me tell you, this is all win-win. So anyway, when I was talking about ecstatic dance, I mean, just kind of like moving with each other, like feeling it out, like doing improvisational dance together. How would that work? Thank you.
I think that sounds wonderful. All I can say is, because when I began, I was anyone can dance. And I had so much pushback from people that I became anyone can move. So that's now my company, because a lot of people just said, dancing, oh no, I don't want to do that. And it's really interesting. I kind of have to explain to people, there is no dance or music in this, except what you create with one another, right? I totally agree with you. And if people are willing and able to do that, ecstatic free dancing sounds super.
Always. We thank you so much. Do encourage you to save your chats again, because we did put in a lot of links. Again, you can click on the 3 little dots by the happy face in the chat, and that will save the chat so that you can get in touch. I did see somebody already said that he and his wife signed up and they hope to get selected. We have a tradition here at PMD Alliance, our wave of gratitude. Judith, you're always wonderful. Like, anytime I'm around you, whether on Zoom or in person, I'm just happier. Like, you really bring the joy, but you also are giving solutions to things that I know are affecting folks. And I just always get so much out of you. So thank you for being here. Thanks for giving your time today.
Thank you all. And all I can say is this is this community is what has helped me build this program, because you guys are it.